What's up guys, it's James and welcome to another tips and tricks video. Today we're going to be looking at the best cars in Tier 4. First of all, I want to say thanks to all of you who've left feedback so far, and to encourage people to do so, whether it be positive or negative. It really doesn't matter, as it helps me to focus on the things that you the viewers want to watch. Use the comments section to highlight the things you do want to see, and leave a like or even a dislike if what you're seeing is a load of rubbish. Anyways, enough about that and let's get on with this video. Tier 4 is undoubtedly the most glamorous tier in the game, with most of the world's fastest cars at your disposal. Disappointingly, I was hoping for a bit more variety in Tier 4, as 5 of the 11 cars are either a McLaren or a Mercedes. An offering from the States like the Hennessy Venom or the SSC Ultima would have been welcome, or even the Lexus LFA from Japan. The exclusion of even a Ferrari, Lamborghini or Porsche is also a big surprise. Perhaps this is a future DLC or even a simple licensing issue. Either way, I feel this tier needs an injection of something a bit different. At the start, the only car you can choose is a McLaren Mercedes 722, which is not very quick by any stretch of the imagination in either a straight line or around the corners. This is why in my first video I said to buy the McLaren DLC to unlock the McLaren MP4 12C GT3. This car offers a good balance of all the attributes you need in a car, like acceleration, top speed, handling and braking. But it's also got room for improvement, so once you earn more money you can upgrade it. With Tier 4 you can upgrade any car as much as you like, without having to hold back from taking it into the next tier. That said, more is not always better. Another thing to remember is that the upgrades are quite expensive in Tier 4, and the further you go the higher the price. Engine upgrades cost around 70,000 credits, and you can expect to shell out around 30 to 50,000 for each of the handling and transmission. What I will say about the McLaren is that it takes a little bit of skill to drive quickly. You cannot just floor it around the circuits, as the back end will step out and you'll just end up bouncing off the left and right barriers. What you need to do instead is keep the best racing line and try not to brake too harshly. Maintaining your speed will mean you don't need to hit the full power in the lower gears, which is the main reason why the car will begin to drift. Only, and if absolutely necessary, feather your throttle around the corners to keep your speed competitive, and you should be okay. You can't begin unlocking Tier 4 cars until level 21, but I suggest you hold out until level 24 to get the McLaren F1 GT. At 350,000 credits, it's definitely not cheap, but it will put you in good stead until you reach level 27 to unlock the Veyron. The McLaren F1 is a fun but also competitive car to race. It has great top end speed and acceleration on par with that of the Veyron. In some races, if you get a good start, you can actually sprint ahead of the Veyron right off the line, which is surprising as this is only a rear wheel drive car. The F1 handles really well, but with all that power in the rear wheels, this car inevitably does have a tendency to drift. That said, I feel it's much more manageable than the GT3, any of the other rear wheel drive cars in this tier. Having played around with all the upgrades on the car, I think you do actually get the best out of it by upgrading it all the way. Initially I thought by upgrading the engine would make it slightly more difficult to drive, but you can counter this by improving the handling to stage 3 and by better distributing the extra power with a stage 2 transmission. My favourite car, and arguably the easiest to do well in, is the Bugatti Veyron Supersport. This 1200 brake horsepower 16 litre monster will get you around most tracks in an exceptionally fast time. The launch and acceleration is phenomenal, the handling is surprisingly stable and easy to drive, and the top end speed, albeit irrelevant as you rarely get to hit it in the game, is seconded only to the Agera. For me, this car is best suited to open track circuits with its great power, but is also very able in the shorter, tightly packed sprint events as well. Where it lacks agility and precision in the corners like the F1, it more than makes up for it on the exits with its fierce acceleration, thanks to a 4-wheel drive system being able to put all that power down with very little wheel spin. I like to upgrade the Bugatti's handling to Tier 2, which improves the brakes and lowers the suspension. This allows me to brake later and take the corners much faster. The benefit of upgrading the engine too to stage 1 also sees a small improvement in power and acceleration, which is always nice as well. I tried upgrading the transmission on this car too, which improved the top speed significantly, but found that it affected the acceleration in a negative way in the lower end gears. I think it's much more important to have better acceleration on the exit of a corner than it is to have an extra 10 mph top speed, so I decided to remove it the next race. Not only is this car quick, it's also one of the most frustrating cars to race against as well, due to its sheer size, weight and power. If you're going to use any of the other cars in this tier, you're not going to bully it around and it's not going to stop for you. If you see the Bugatti roaring up in your rear view mirror and you're not convinced he's a clean racer, just get out of the way, it's never going to end well. Before I wrap this up, I just want to briefly mention the Koenigsegg Agera R. It has a greater top speed, more power and is a lot lighter, meaning it also accelerates better than the Veyron. Does this mean it's head and shoulders above the Veyron and a much better car to use? It doesn't. This is all great to read, but the reality of it is you cannot put any of the power down to the ground successfully or in a straight line. The best thing you can do is to upgrade the handling and the transmission to improve the cornering and traction. However, at level 28 and level 29 for the upgrades, added to that the hours of time spent trying to perfect how to drive it, it's simply not a good or easy car to drive. Well, that's it guys, I've talked about my favourite cars in all the tiers in Grid 2. Hope you've enjoyed this mini series and stay tuned for more tips and tricks videos coming soon. Race clean, and until next time, I'll see you later.